Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of A Life of KG. Today on the show, I have Alice Widdows, and she is a salon owner in the Northeast, and she's doing incredibly well. She's part of my mastermind, and she brought a salon around 18 months ago, and she's completely changed it around and bringing this high-end vibe into the business, which she's going to be talking to you all about today. We're going to be talking about the pros and cons of buying an existing business, how to bring high-end luxury into your business, and lots of other things. It's a really, really good episode, so make sure you listen to it all. I wanted to also share with you guys, if you have a team currently and you don't have policies in place or contracts in place, this is something that you need to have if you have anyone working under your roof. I can't stress this enough. I'm talking to a lot of businesses at the moment that don't have these things in place, even down to an employment contract, and it's really risky grounds. So I don't want to scare you guys, but I want to protect you all. So if you do need policies, handbooks for your business, or contracts, I will put in the show notes below a link to my downloadables that you guys can have and tweak for your business to make it so much easier for you and make sure that you're doing everything properly in your businesses. So without further ado, here is Alice. Hi Alice, welcome to the Life of KG. How are you?
Good morning, Katie. I'm very well, thank you. I'm excited to be with you today.
I know, I'm so excited to have you on. So let's do a intro. Who are you and what do you do?
So my name is Alice Widdows, and I am now the owner of a salon clinic in Wynyard, the northeast of England, called Wynyard Therapy. And we bring beauty, hair and skin northeast.
Amazing. So I absolutely love everything that you're doing and have done with the salon. So we'll get into that a little bit later. But how did your journey start? Like, what's your background? Because you wasn't doing beauty before you took over the salon, was you?
So I've come to skincare and beauty through the world of luxury and super yachts. I spent 25 years in the business of yachting and delivered exclusive events for super yacht owners. I marketed and managed yacht campaigns, yacht racing campaigns. And I was very lucky. I had an amazing career where I traveled around the world looking after the super yachts, the high net worth individuals, and keeping everything on point with them in their worlds. So I've come to this business in a roundabout fashion, which is why I love working so much with you. And I've learned along the way that the key core things that are important in delivering a service, especially the luxury service, and keeping relationships and clients on side.
Amazing. So you've come from really a very high luxury background, dealing with obviously the yacht industry. What made you go from that type of industry then into a salon?
It's been a huge transition, and my overriding choice was there was a business opportunity came up for me local to where I live. And what I was doing prior to that was traveling all over the world, delivering events and experiences for clients, and I had very little time at home. So when I married my now husband and decided to put my roots down in the northeast in England, it was a logical next step that I took on a project closer to home. And who knew it would be something in beauty? And as I'm about to confess to you, I knew nothing when I started 18 months ago in this world of beauty. All I knew was how to deliver first-class service for a client.
So how have you found that transition then from going from your industry that you know off the back of your palm because you've been doing it for so long, to then going into the beauty space, which, like you said, had no idea about?
I maintain this all along. Surround yourself with the right people. And this is why I came into your mastermind meeting, why I came into your groups. I was not afraid to learn. And I feel that I was very humble in that. And I have absorbed like a sponge the learnings available to me in the groups, in the other salon and clinic owners that we learn and grow with. So it has not been an easy transition, but it has been huge hard work, but incredibly rewarding, because I've grown the business, doubled the revenue in 12 months. And we have grown the team from 5 to 10. In fact, I have 12 team members through the business on a weekly basis. And that has been a challenge, because dealing and transitioning people across is a big part of taking on an existing business. And I've gone back into my roots of learning how to work with people and for people in my yacht management days, where I used to sail with Australians, Kiwis, Americans, the good old Brits. We all used to come together on racing yachts in very small, closed living. And the objective was to cross the line and win the race. And it was all about the dial-up, Casey. So which is where you prepare before you even cross the line. And you can win and lose a yacht race on that dial-up. And I've applied that to the business as well. So anything I'm doing, anything I'm implementing, the people, clients, the products, services, I'm spending a huge amount of time in that research and development and in the dial-ups. When I do cross the line, I have everything in place to deliver as said, as written. Yes, of course I do. I miss a huge amount of the life and of the international business and people and personalities. And I learned so much from those studio owners. And when I speak to my clients about it, the number one takeaway I have from my time, 25 years plus in that world, is that I could see how successful businesses were run, because the result was that they were on their yachts on the water all summer racing. The personalities and the people that I surrounded myself at that time have given me a huge amount of backbone, resilience, information, all the things that I could see they were playing at a higher level, and I wanted some of that, and I absorbed it, and I recognized that, and it gave me a huge amount of opportunity. And still to this day, I'm in touch with lots of my old clients, and many have become mentors of mine, and many are showing up for me and leading me as I try and lead my team in a way that is the next level of especially managing people. I think that's been the biggest learning curve.
And like you say, it's all about who we surround ourselves with, right? And you being in that industry, you don't have a yacht unless you're extremely wealthy, right? That's really where the wealth of people are. What would you say were some of your biggest learnings being surrounded by them, that caliber of people?
One of my greatest mentors is a gentleman that owns an island, an island in the BVI's opposite Richard Branson's island. And I spent a lot of time with him as a client. He was a client. He was also became a friend, a confidant. And we talked into the early hours of the morning on occasions, all about the mindset. And for him, he was an incredibly successful businessman. And he made every move based on attitude, mindset, positivity, putting back into the world. And I took a lot from him to realize that that was a key component. That was the essential difference between the have-nots and the have-yacht. And I also really learned from him critical on delivering. And he used to say to me, the less, because we launched an event there on his island at City Yacht Regatta. And he used to say to me, the less time we have, the more it's going to cost us. And I really took that away. So now I'm really trying to implement learnings across delivering timelines, getting everything on board, making enough time to develop an idea, because we're not rushing and throwing money we don't have at something.
What amazing advice. Is your background, like, was your family in business, parents in business? Like, where has this like entrepreneurial spirit come from?
Sometimes I think I've just plucked it out of the sky, Katie, but actually it's more than that. My father was an Olympian and a Formula One racing driver. So I've grown up in a very competitive environment. And even though obviously I didn't follow him down that line, I got into yacht racing at a young age. And that took me through to today. But the demands of home life were that we had people through the house all the time. And I learned that from my mother at a very young age, was how to host people. And that can be a super skill. And I really turned that around, because when I was yachting, I would be on the back of the boat with, literally pulling some lines. I would be on the winches. I would be pulling some sails, but I would also be hosting the guests and clients who were on the boat. And I soon realized that was my super skill. Not the sailing. There are much better sailors than me out there. But what I could do was make the people that were sailing with us comfortable and welcomed and feeling VIP guests. So I found that by bringing that through my life at various stages and projects, that's how I can show up in my beauty world today. Because I try and instill that in my team, that the moment a client walks in, they're more than a client. They are a guest of ours for that time. They are spending time with us. They are giving their time, and we in return need to deliver a safe space and a first-class service.
Because I was going to talk about with you creating that VIP experience for your clients, because obviously I don't actually know anyone else that's come from such a luxury industry and then brought that back into the beauty space and into their salons. And tell me if I'm wrong, but you've gone and brought this salon and it wasn't the standard that you wanted. It wasn't the type of business that you dreamed to have, and you've gone in and you've just tried to change all of that to create this VIP experience and bring this luxury into the industry. How has that transition gone, and how are you creating these VIP experiences in the salon?
So yes, in a nutshell, I bought an existing business which had a very slow and steady clientele in a lovely area in the northeast. What it did have going for it was that it was established. It had been 12 years a hair and beauty salon. And what excited me, and what I am implementing and have been in the last 16 months, is building up a clientele and offering services and experiences that I feel offer more and give more value than a standard treatment. So it's been a challenge, because the environment and the previous clients have looked to this salon to deliver a certain treatment at a certain price. So my challenge has been to come in and recognize the areas that need to be improved in order for me to then turn around and hand on heart with integrity. So this is a different service now. We have up-leveled, we have upgraded, the team are stronger, they're highly trained, fully accredited. There is a level of service in there that wasn't in there before, that the experience is, I come back to this whole, the touch points that client receives from the moment they book their appointment there's a beginning, a middle, of end. I see it, the customer journey. But all those touch points, whether that be a confirmation email, a text message reminder, when they walk in the salon, they're greeted by their name and their coats are taken, they're offered their complimentary drink, they've written a nice magazine. There is a level of personalization bespoke to each and every client, which is really important to me because I want to do something differently than has been done before. And the other key component is collaborations. So I brought in other companies, businesses, brands that I feel add value to that client experience. Prime example, I have a relationship now with a luxury local florist. He does all my over salon frontiers and front-stage process. So she decorates they decorate the salon a couple of times, installations a couple of times a month, and they also do fresh flowers in the salon every week. That again, pulling it back through into that whole healing and holistic. I want the client to feel uplifted when they walk in. I want them to feel so much more than they're going for a manicure. So my biggest challenge, along with obviously the physical and technical upgrades and the investment that's taken, has been to get the team on board with me. So I really understand the whole principle of finding your why. And it's been a huge part of my work, has been helping the team understand why we're doing this. And so that they can deliver what I need them to be delivering, because they've bought into my philosophy and values. So everything has to be on point. They come back to me all the time like, oh, it's the detail. I'm like, the devil is in the detail. This is something I really learned in that yachting environment. It is absolutely critical that you go to any length that every time around the detail.
Yeah, it really is. And you do that absolutely beautifully. It was funny you say about the fresh flowers, because in my salon, we don't actually have fresh flowers normally. And one of the team got brought flowers the other day, and they actually put them at the front of reception. And I walked in yesterday and I was like, oh my gosh, that smell, what's that? And I was like, oh, flowers. And straight away, it's like, that feeling you get smelling the fresh flowers, seeing the flowers, it just straight away give a different vibe. And I was like, I like this. We're going to have to do this more often. So the fact that you have that every week is just really, really nice. When you come to taking on the salon and obviously go into this high class service, did you have to change pricing, and how did that go down with your clientele?
It's my favorite tricky subject, Katie. So we have invested a huge amount into the business personally, and as I said, the team has gone from 5 to 10. The services, the technology. I bought a lot of new equipment to deliver better services. I've bought back in the top brands, whether that's OPI, whether that's HP, L'Oreal. I am committed to delivering top quality services and treatments. And that's something I've had to fundamentally really stick by, because it's been very tempting in the early days, and still today, 18 months in, to go, well, we could get away with, cheaper products. We could hide that and make some better profits. And the truth is, I don't want to do that. I need it to be a top end service. And in doing that, I've had to naturally raise my prices. The prices when I took on the salon had not been changed in over 4 years. And we'd been through COVID. So it's been a really challenging situation for the existing client base to get on board with the fact things are going to have to change. Because I have to I'm regularly explaining to clients that I needed to keep the business going. Fundamentally, the girls all needed a pay rise immediately, so they're not on minimum wage. And in order for it to be a sustainable business, we need to reflect true value and pricing. So I've worked really hard at trying to be transparent about showing the value we're adding. I'm not going to lie, some clients don't get it, and I'm very gracious and I say, very sorry, this is where we have to be a sustainable business. For me to support 12 women and make payroll, I've upgraded the services and the price needs to reflect that. They need to reflect the value of the girls. The girls have been on top level accreditation. They've got level MBQ3s in there, and then they were not being recognised at that level. It's also been a huge mental block for the team to appreciate that they're worth that money.
Yeah, a really, really difficult one. And I guess it's having that mindset of, unfortunately, we might have to lose some clients here, but we will gain new ones, because not everyone would be on board with that and quite liked how the salon was before. So your whole ideal client, I guess, had to change from the salon that you brought in the first place.
Completely, Katie. And in fact, I had a message this morning only from an email I'd gone back to a client about some recent price changes, and she was challenging me on exactly that. Why didn't you just leave it? And my experience in life and in business is you can't just leave something that's not working. You absolutely have to evolve and change. So I have, as you can see, I have shifted my ideal client, or I am gradually shifting my ideal client. And it's about, for me, it's holding my nerve. Literally before I jumped on this call, I had a wobble and I was like, am I doing the right thing? And then I have to remember that in 3 or 4 days, I've got payroll. And I'm trying to create a sustainable business and livelihood for the girls and I. And if I listened to some of the naysayers, I wouldn't have a business. There wouldn't be a salon in the village. We would have shut months ago if I hadn't made changes.
Yeah, I mean, not doing any price increases for 4 years, automatically that salon would have been naturally at a loss year by year by year, and 4 years on, how it was still standing, I do not even know, because yearly minimum price increases should go up, and that's absolutely minimum. And kudos to you, because to come into a salon that needs a whole change around on service, pricing, staffing, ideal clients, and having that battle, you're going on to do amazing things over these next few years. But for the last year, I know that has been a real rocky time trying to do that transition, but you've stuck firm to what you believe in and how your vision is for the salon, and going back to your why. So you've done amazing there. So hats off to you, Alice.
Well, Katie, as I say, surround yourself with the right people, and your feedback and the group that we work with all together on your masterminds and accelerator, all giving me the confidence to stick true to my guns and my vision and to survive. The statistics put out this week were 151 salons have gone into solvency since January. I mean, who's responsible? Are we responsible, or is the client responsible? I know the buck stops with me, but I have to make changes and respond to the commercial environment.
Yeah, it's extremely, extremely scary what's going on in the world. And it's not to scare people, but to realise you have to be running your business properly, be thinking about the business first and what the business needs and what them overheads really look like, rather than pleasing clients, making sure you get every client through the door, and making sure they're happy. I mean, just this week alone, I've spoken to 2 salon owners that have to go into liquidation, and they have big salons, and it's really, really, really sad. And there's lots of parts that are part of that parcel when it comes to whose fault is this, who does that buck lie on, and that type of thing. But this is why it is so important as you're a growing business and go from the norm of people being salon owners. They might be beauty therapists or hairdressers first of all, and then gone into business. And it's that importance of learning business, like you said, surrounding yourself with those that can support you, that actually understand, rather than just, giving you that support because they're a friend or family member. And continuing that business development, because ultimately that's what we are now. We aren't that hairdresser, we aren't that beauty therapist, we aren't that aesthetic practitioner. We are business owners, and that comes with responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely, Katie. And to come back to that development stage, this is what I learned from my super yacht winners, the owners, and what I'm trying to bring to the table today, and which is what you in your groups teach so much, is it is about keeping going. It is about the resilience and showing up and being consistent. One of the core things I've learned in the last 16 months here is, consistency, commitment. Just keep showing up. And it's one thing I really learned from my husband. He is a private dentist and has the building next door. And it's through him that we have the medical aesthetics clinic, because he and his team do dental-led medical aesthetics. And it was a huge part of my why, was to bring that professionalism into the aesthetic space and into the beauty salon. And he taught me very early on that you just keep showing up. He gets stuck. He goes to work 6 or 7 days a week to see patients. And by watching and mirroring him, I was able to see that was the way to win the long game. Slow and steady wins the long game.
How has it been having a husband that's also in business? Like, I would love that, but how is it? Do you bounce off each other? Are you really supportive of each other? Like, how is it?
Do I'm very lucky. I feel I have a second life, because I met my husband only in the last 12 years, or 10 years. We married at 8. And we had a firm friendship before we married, from when we were 18, growing up and holidaying in Mallorca, which is where I'm from. So by the time I met him at his second stage in life and my second stage in life, we were straight on each other. We were our biggest team leaders. And that has been the most important thing to me. His support means everything, obviously. There'll be times when he might not agree with a technicality or with a detail, which is rare, because we're coming from very similar objectives. But the fact that he supports me in everything that I do and how I show up for the business made a really big difference. As I say, in these times that have been super tough, he knows this world. He knows the Northeast. He knows how to keep showing up. And I, as I said, I've been mirroring him. In return, he gets to see how I operate in the luxury environment. So he can see how I go to any lengths, how I I worry about the detail, and I can trust over that. And that helps, I believe, rub off on him to see in his business and his practice how some of that is super important too. And then the biggest thing we have to check in with is how we bring that home to the table at night when we're sitting having our supper. How much of the work stuff that we bring in, how much we have our time as a married couple, or as, and he's got 3 children, so as a family. And I was worried about it. I'm not going to lie. I was very worried about it at the beginning, working so closely with each other. But I can honestly say that we've found our rhythm. I'm the one that has to be quiet most of the time, because I get quite buzzy. But he helps. We help each other by having a boundary around it. That's to say, because we're so acutely invested in both of the businesses, it is our overriding ambition, aim, it's constantly on our minds, it's constantly there, but we're a team, and I think that makes a big difference. And I'm very, very grateful. And I'm very aware that things can go pear-shaped quite quickly if you do but you don't respect and value that.
Yeah, definitely. It must be really nice to have that support at home as well, and backing each other up. So yeah, really beautiful. You have in your salon hair and beauty. How do you find that mix? Is it like two different types of like people? Because I know I've had hairdressers and I've had beauty therapists. I don't know how they would mix within the one building. Obviously, back in the day, there used to be lots of hair and beauty mix. Now it seems to be more separate as a common like thing in industry. How have you found both of those industries? Because they are separate industries, really. How have you found them coming together?
So interesting, Katie. My naivety in this, when I entered it, is I had no idea that there was a separate beast. So I approached it in the beginning, and still do to a large extent, that from a team perspective, I try and manage them as a team. However, what I have also been acutely aware of is they are different personalities. So then I drill down into each and every one of them and offer a sustainable job role, flexibility where needed, support where needed, because I now recognize that the hairdressing community and that creativity is very different to some of the more structured, methodical approach of beauticians. Not to mention the aesthetic practitioners, the skincare specialists, and they come in at a totally different mindset and level of approach. So I now see that there needs to be some flexibility within how I show up as a leader for each and every one. But as a whole, I treat them as a team and try and bring them together as much as possible, which does work. Because again, buying into my why and my values, if they can all pull into that, then they show up as one seamless group. They have an amazing reputation for being very friendly, very professional, and that's helped enormously in that glue, being the glue between bridging the two. And I would also end in saying that I had really underestimated the value to a client when they can walk in and get 2 or 3 services under one roof within a minimum amount of time. So I had to, because I was growing up and done a lot of time living internationally and especially in London, I was always able to do that in the past. Go into very high-end hairdresser or salon and have hair, nails, blah, 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 all within a couple of hours. And that was hell of a service. And I really recognize that is something that the clients really value. And half of the time, my battle is to communicate to the both sets of clients, those that are coming in for one service and not yet the other, but we can offer this. What I really recognize, though, is that the clients come back to me times and go, thank you so much. I was able to have my downtime, my space for self-care within that time frame and get everything done once every 3 weeks, once every fortnight, once a month, whatever their window is. And so my ambition for the team is to work closer and closer together. Hence the bespoke attitude towards treatment. So when a client books in from their hair, they can have their brows, their nails, their everything added on, and so it's a process of upselling to an existing client of either or all sides of the business to cross-reference a bit more, and that is going forward much more of an ambition for the team.
I actually really, really love that concept because I haven't actually thought of it that way. When you are in London and you go to them big luxury salons and everyone is time poor, I love going to get treatments and my hair done, but I also hate it at the same time because I'm like, I have not got time for this, but it's a necessity that I get it done. If you can create that salon where you can get everything done under one roof in a short period of time, that is definitely where you can bring that team together and merge it as one. I love that idea. And I guess, do you offer at the moment like getting your hair done and the nails done at the same time?
Yes, I have to say that it's still it's early days in really pushing it forward. But I have the example of I have a couple of my core ladies that will come in and they will book, especially the appointments where they can, once they've got their colour on their hair, they move across the nail bar and have their nails done in that 30 minutes, and then they're back to have their colour off and their cut and their blow dry. And it's all done and dusted within 2 hours, 90 minutes. And they really value that. Like you say, you've identified exactly what I really feel. Again, back to your space, everybody values their time because we are all time poor. Busy mothers, working mothers, people that are caring for others. They don't have 4 hours a month to take out for hair and beauty. If they have 90 minutes, that's fantastic. We'll get everything done for them. 90 minutes to 120, we can get everything done for them once a month. And the team love working together. And that's what I really identified. There's a tag team aspect to it. So that they will feed through the client from one chair to the next station, upstairs to the browse, down to, and I really see that as part of the customer experience.
Yeah, I'd love to work on this with you more. Like, that's really, really exciting. Love that. Okay, what would you say? Yeah, what would you say are the benefits of creating a luxury salon or brand for those that are listening?
So, big answer, really. My experience in the luxury environment is that you can elevate your offer, elevate your service, and with that, elevate your overall pricing, but extension of that. So, you have a very strong brand, and especially if you're delivering something that's, we go back to the USP, Katie. We talked earlier about the doing everything under one roof. Well, that essentially is my USP in my environment. And I see the value in having a luxury brand as elevating you into doing something differently, because it's a very crowded market. Anyone can go anywhere for a beauty or hair treatment, and they can pick from a nail bar through to, as we identified, a high-end salon doing everything. And so my experience and my intention about creating a very strong luxury brand is that I will attract a different client, I'll attract a loyal client, they will become part of my community. I come back a lot to this word, creating a membership and a community for clients that want this level of service, that seek you out for this level of service. So that the treatment is one thing, but the level of service elevates you. And I feel that that in a very crowded environment, it is business world right now, it is the beauty world right now, this is something I can bring that differentiates me from somebody else.
Yeah, definitely. Something for people to think about if they want to elevate their businesses.
Plus, sorry, Katie, to interrupt, what I do feel is really, really beneficial is the collaboration team. And if you have a strong luxury brand, you will attract naturally very strong companies that want to align with you because they share your audience and your values. And so if you can collaborate with like-minded luxury brands, you will tenfold your reach, your brand positioning, and also the clients will benefit so much more because they're getting so much more value than just coming back down to this core treatment. They become part of this world that is a lot more aspirational and it's a lot more luxury with no extra cost because you've collaborated.
Yeah, great tips there. Thank you, Alice. Lastly, I want to touch on the fact that you did buy an existing business. I talk to people that want their own salons all the time, and lots start from scratch and then some buy. I've done both. I've started from scratch and I've brought existing salons too. What's been the pros and cons for this for you? And would you buy an existing salon again, or would you start from scratch?
I'm 18 months in to buy an existing business, and has been, I've referred to along through this conversation. I took on 5 team members and an existing database of close to 3,000 clients. I would do it again. It's really hard work, but I would do it again because I had something. I wasn't a complete startup. And even though I am a completely different brand, company, offer, today, it kept the doors open in the early days. And there's been a lot of growing pains. But those that have stayed with me and my team that have stayed with me and the products and services I've kept in the business are there for a reason. And they've all had to earn their colours. If you see what I mean, there was a process that we went through both on the team and also on the services. That anything that doesn't work, was not aligning with our true values, goes. And I mean that from a service perspective. From a team perspective, it was a question of asking them to get them up to buy into where I'm taking this business. And then the last 18 months have just been about seeing whether the team want to come with me on this journey. And it's hard because some don't. I'm very happy with the CSO. And that was really hard to take personally in the very early days, to not take personally. But again, coming back to this, when we talked about price changing and a client wanting it how it was, or not wanting change, because change is very different for people. And I really have to take that on board. But as a personality or as a team member or as a staff member, when I whirl in there with all my high flung ideas from sitting in my office and coming up strategically, I have to be very careful how I deliver that to my team, because it's overwhelming if I try and make too much change too soon. So there was survival, and then there was patience. And, now I can say, okay, we're getting there. But the last 18 months, I didn't think we were getting there fast enough. And it took a lot of time and working with you and within the group to realize that it's one implementation at a time. But yes, sorry, to answer your question, I won't do it again. I would just be a lot more conscious that I'm dealing with people's lives, and they need to be feeling safe, and that they're in a role that's going to be protected.
Yeah, definitely. I was listening to a podcast the other day. I can't remember who it was. I think it must have been Stephen Bartlett. And the guest that they had on there was about buying businesses and stuff, and how lots of people don't even think of that when they're starting up, and actually how it's such a good option to do that, because there will be lots of challenges, of course, and teams and all of that jazz and changing cultures. But you already have a business then to work on. You already have an income, even if it's not the right income, straight away when you take over that business, and then you can grow on that. So it's definitely something to look at. When we've brought businesses before, we've had similar experiences to you, Alice, where, the businesses were turning over the money and they were bringing the money in, but there was lots of culture changes, lots of team dynamics that needed to change. And that was the stress that come with it. Rather than when you open completely from scratch, you're trying to get that first client through the door and build that client list, which is harder than dealing with teams sometimes, if you can be resilient with it. So there is definitely pros and cons there for sure.
Yes, and just to touch on the fact that yes, I've bought an existing database. Fundamentally, I bought a business with an existing database. But what you're really strong on, and what I recognize now, is that I had very few emails. I had very few correct names, numbers, etc. So My work in the last 18 months has been tidying that all up, and then communicating back to the clients who I have got data contact details on about, you know, the new salon, the new offers, the new treatments, the new team. Because naively you think you've got X, but you don't unless you can communicate or sell to them.
Yeah, that's very true. You're dealing with the clients that have already come in, but they might not actually have them client details and have to build all that up, and the marketing that most probably wasn't going on before you brought it, and having to bring all that in too.
That's been a huge part of the work, and that's comes back down to that consistency. And I know we talk about it a lot in our groups, because I have noticed a massive uplift the more consistent I show up on a newsletter, on a weekly newsletter. The uplift in bookings over the last 6 months, I've been looking at doing regular emails, but only in the last month I started doing weekly, and the difference was remarkable. And I bring it down to this showing up consistently, trust, like, and buy. And it's staying in touch with those core clients that have been loyal to you, and showing them what's available. Because half the time we don't show our audience what is available.
No, definitely not. You've mentioned a few times in the podcast, like the mastermind that we're in and your coaching experience. How have you found the last year in that mastermind? I know obviously I'm so excited to have you on board for another year, but how have you found the last year?
Katie, I can't tell you. I couldn't have done it without you. As I say, I knew nothing about this industry. And although I was prepared, I knew I had to learn, and I knew I had to learn from the best. And I found you, and I found a community that understood what growing pains were and were going to take. So there was various levels to it. Obviously, the information you share is the best in the business. And then the community surrounding that, and the threshing it out within like-minded salon owners, that's made a massive difference to my resilience and my perseverance at times when it has been so tough. And I'm never afraid to learn. That's again what I brought from my time in yachting is that all these successful businessmen and women were themselves in coaching programs or in masterminds or up level. Nobody knows it all. I'm never afraid to ask for help, get information, be humble enough to know I don't know it all. So you've provided a very safe space with which I really value, and I value the confidentiality. And it's definitely enabled me to grow the business and survive.
I'm so glad that you've been part of it and that you've enjoyed it and it's helped to grow your business. And it is so important. Like you said, even back in your yacht days, those, really successful people still were part of masterminds, were still had coaching experiences, and you can never stop learning. Like, I will still be in high level masterminds. I'm continuous learning. Like, otherwise you become the same for years, and everything is consistently changing all of the time. And it's about keeping up with that. And I love people like yourselves that are into that development all of the time and wanting to learn more. So you're doing amazing with that. What's next for you then, Alice, before I let you go?
So I've had a really exciting, talking of collaborations, I've had a very exciting development that I've joined as the chairwoman and the committee of a big local charity here in the Northeast called the Northeast Ladies' Day. So part of that will be that I can offer some time and skills to the committee. And one of the things that we will be doing with them is to host an event in June, a charity event for the Northeast Ladies' Day, which supports lots of local charities that don't have fundraising arms for themselves. And the team and I are really committed to giving back to the community, especially where we can see direct results and feel it within. I know that some of my team are affected by things that these charities are supporting. And that really is important to me, because it's a pound drops down into somebody's lap. And I really appreciate that. So we're hosting an event in June. We've got some great partners, and it's going to be a skin clinic soiree. And I brought on board 3D Aesthetics, and with them I have all their top equipment for facial, high performance facials like Hydra 2 facial. So my next steps are to develop the event experiences guiding the business in collaboration with big partnerships, and develop a holistic well-being wellness destination.
Definitely. So I thank you, Alice, for giving up your time today. It's been a pleasure talking to you this past nearly an hour. We could talk all day, I know, but thank you so much. If you enjoyed this episode, guys, please share as much as you can on socials, give us a review on the podcast, and subscribe if you're not already, because that really helps with our figures. But Alice, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Casey.